Hey, what's going on? My name is Harrison, and this is going to be an Unreal Engine 4 C++ tutorial on how to trigger a light switch on and off. So this might be a longer tutorial. You can always get the code down in the description below. There should be a GitHub link where you can just grab the code and move along. But if not, let's go ahead and continue with the video and make this happen. The first step I think we should do is go ahead and go to the edit window, project settings, and add an action button. Click input. Under action mappings, let's go ahead and add an action. For this tutorial, just go ahead and call it action. Let's bind it to the F key. That's my key of choice. And that should be it. It should save automatically. Let's get out of there. Now let's create a new class, new C++ class. It's going to be an actor. Next, let's call it light switch button and click create class. Alright, the engine just created the files for us. Let's go ahead and set up our header file for our light switch. We're going to do a U property, visible anywhere. Let's put it under the category of light switch. It's going to be a class uPointLight component. PointLight component. Pointer, go ahead and call it PointLight. uProperty, visible anywhere. Category, light switch. This is going to be a uSphere component. We're going to call that light sphere. Next, let's go ahead and make another U property for the intensity of the light. It's just going to be a float. Call that light intensity. I think I spelled it right. And finally, in the header function, or in the header file, let's create a U function. Might as well make it blueprint callable, so if someone's using blueprints, they can use it. Is it there? Blueprint callable. And we'll also put that in the category of a light switch. It's going to be a simple void toggle light function. Then I'll toggle the visibility bool for the component. Save that. Now let's jump over into the CPP file, and we're going to set it up. I have the notes here on the right of me, so I can hopefully speed some things up. Oh geez, I'm in the wrong place. Alright, so we definitely want to include the classes that we're going to be using throughout the file. Hashtag include components. And we're going to include the PointLight component. We also want to include the sphere components. Sphere component. Did I spell that right? I think I did. Component. Yeah, that's right. Now let's go ahead into our constructor function and create some default values. Align intensity, we'll set that to 3000. Now let's set up our point light. Our point light is going to equal create default subobject. It's going to be a uPointLight component. Add some text. Might as well just call it PointLight. PointLight intensity. That's PointLight arrow operator. Then we do set intensity. No, we just do intensity, and we'll set that equal to light intensity, our variable above. PointLight arrow operator be visible. We're gonna set it to true, so it's always on, or it when we push play, it'll be on. And then the root component will equal point light. Now let's set up our sphere for the overlap events. It's going to be light sphere equals create default subobject, use sphere component. Let's go ahead and add some text. I'm just going to call it light sphere comp. Let's set up the radius for it. Light sphere arrow operator, init sphere radius. We'll set it to 300. I think that's it for that one. Light sphere arrow operator, set collision profile name. I'm going to go ahead and immediately set it to the trigger value. I have a typo up here. I have a capital I. Let's go ahead and lowercase that. Light sphere arrow operator, set collision. I think I had a typo up here. Set collision response to channel. And we're going to do ECC pawn and ECR ignore. Light sphere, now let's attach it to the root component. Set up attachment root component. Now we're going to create our toggle light function. Void a light switch button, toggle light. This will be simple. It's just a point light. Let's toggle it. Toggle the visibility. And again, most components have this already built in, the toggle visibility function. Visibility. Did I spell it right? Toggle visibility. I think it's right. We'll see. Okay, that should be it for that function. I'm going to compile right now and see if I have any errors before we go into the character function or the character code. Alright, so I have an error. Let me check it out. Cannot open include component sphere component. Must just have a typo. Oh, components, not just component. I have another error. Light intensity is not declared. It's just a typo. Let's go ahead and light intensity. I'm not sure where that's happening. Oh, so I spelled it wrong in the header file. Let's go ahead and add that in there. Add that there. Save that. Clean this up. Make sure they're all equal. Let's go ahead and compile and see if I still have an error. I think I do actually. I'm missing some semicolons. 22. Alright, line 22, I think I'm missing a semicolon. Right up here. Let's compile and see if it works. Alright, now we compiled successfully. Let's go ahead and move along into our character file. What do we do? Alright, so what's the next step for this thing? So there's a couple things I want to do with the character code in order to make this work correctly. So let's go ahead and cancel out of our, or just X out of these. Let's go ahead and open up our character header file. CPP tuts character. So there's a few things we're gonna have to do, so bear with me. Where are we gonna do this? So the first thing I want to do is add a trigger capsule. It's going to be a U property, visible anywhere. It's going to be a category trigger capsule. Might as well. And it's going to be a class U capsule component. Might as well just call it trigger capsule. That should suffice. Next, let's go ahead and declare our functions. Under public, let's just scroll to the bottom and append to it. U function, void on overlap begin. I'm going to grab the parameters from the documentation. On overlap begin. I'm just going to copy them, so we just cover everything. We're going to do the same thing for on overlap end. Void on overlap end. Again, I'm going to go back to the documentation and grab the parameters. Next, we want to declare a class of the light switch button that we just made. So this will be pretty cool. So go ahead and do class a light switch button. Make it a pointer and a little bit of our current light switch. So when we overlap it, this variable, our current light switch, will be the overlapped light, so we can turn it on and off. Also at the beginning of the video, we created the on action button. So let's create a function called on action, and that's what the on action button will fire. It will fire this on action function, which will toggle the light. Alright, I think we're done with the header file. Let's go ahead and move along into the CPP file. Oh my goodness. UPP. Oh god. It's late. Alright, so in our constructor, let's add the trigger cap, or trigger capsule. Scroll up, where am I? Just go ahead and append it to the constructor function. That should be alright. So set the default values. Yep, let's make it happen. Trigger capsule equals create default subobject. It's going to be a U capsule component. Just end it with some text. It's going to be trigger capsule. Now let's create the values for it. Trigger capsule. Trigger capsule arrow operator. Let's init the size of it. Init capsule size. And it's going to be 55 and 96. Those values are going to be the same as the original capsule that is on this character actor, which is right at the top, and that's 55 and 96. So I basically just want it to be the same thing, but this trigger capsule will only deal with this overlap event and won't deal with gravity or anything else. like collisions and stuff like that. That's handled by the other trigger capsule, or the other capsule component rather. Trigger capsule, arrow operator, set collision profile name. And we're going to immediately set it to trigger. Again, you can always change it in the detail editors panel. Trigger capsule, let's attach it to the root. Set up attachment, root component. Alright, that's good. So also from here, we're going to declare and register our overlap events. So, trigger capsule, arrow operator, on component begin overlap. We're going to add dynamic. We're going to bind it to this actor. Then we're going to reference this actor's overlap function. What it's going to be a CPP tut character, whatever you named your project, it'll be that plus character. On overlap begin. Again, so every time we overlap, we're going to run this function, this on overlap begin function. Again, we haven't made it yet. We'll make it in a couple of minutes. Trigger capsule, on component end overlap. And end overlap. Add dynamic. Bind it to this actor. Reference this actor's functions. On overlap end. That should be good for that part. We want to init one more thing, and that's our current light switch. Our current light switch will be immediately set to null, and then we will change that throughout the game. Current light switch equals null. Okay, we should be done with the constructor. Let's go ahead and move on. Where's the next step? We gotta create these functions. When we just scroll down, just by order of events on how the code is structured, we're gonna bind the button, and we haven't done that yet. Let's bind the action button. So we're just gonna, so inside the setup player input component, let's go ahead and add a player input component. So player input component, arrow operator, bind the action. We're gonna bind it to the word action because that's what we called our button at the beginning of the video. Again, if you called it something different, then just change that. We're gonna do IE pressed. There's also a released one, like you can see up here. Like if you release it, you can do something else. But again, when this is pressed, we want the action to happen. This, and now we're gonna reference a CPP tuts character, and we want to run the on action function. All right, what's the next thing we gotta make this do? Nothing on fire. Move right, turn right. All right. So now let's scroll all the way to the bottom and append to this file and make the cool stuff happen. So the first thing I want to do is create the action function. And what that's going to do is going to toggle the light. Toggle the light's visibility. So void a CPP tuts character : on action. So if current light switch. So if the current light switch is true, meaning that it doesn't equal null, then let's toggle it. Current light switch arrow operator toggle light. And so now the next two functions is what's going to set the current light switch. So I have an error up here. I called it current light. I meant to call it current light switch. So yeah, so when we, by default, current light switch equals null, but if we overlap the sphere, we want to set that to the point light that belongs to that sphere. And now it could just be one point light, or it could be an array of point lights. But for this example, it's just going to be one. All right, let's finish this up. Holy shit. Void a unreal, a CPP tuts character colon on overlap begin. I'm going to go into the header file and jack those parameters that we set up earlier. On overlap begin, just take them all. Okay, so now on overlap begin, let's go ahead and see if we're overlapping with a light switch, and if we are, to set current light switch to the light switch that it belongs to. So if other actor is true and it's not null, and the other actor does not equal itself, and the other actor has another comp, and the other actor and if the other actor is a light switch, what did we just do? We just created one, is a light switch trigger. No, a light switch button, rather. So if other actor, now let's get the class of it. Get class, then arrow operator, then is child of. Do that, and if it's a child of a light switch button, static class. And that, so if all of that is true, we're gonna set the current light switch to cast a light switch button, and we're gonna cast it to the other actor, or yeah, it's the other actor's light switch. We do have to include this component into our file, so let's go ahead and do that up top. Let me see how to do that correctly. Hashtag include light switch button.h. So we just included it in, and now if we exit the sphere, we want it to remove the current state of the current light switch. We want to put current light switch back to null. So void a CPP tuts character on overlap end. Let's grab the parameters from the header file. These two shouldn't be the same. Did I mess that up? I probably did. Damn it. Oh no, the first ones are the same. Okay. Never mind that. I think it's just late and I'm delirious. Add that in. Now let's finish out the function. If other actor is true and it doesn't equal itself, and it has a component, the component is not null, we'll just go current light switch equals null. Oh man, there's a lot going on. Let's see if it works. I really hope, but there's gonna be some errors, and we'll just go back. We'll debug it and make sure we can make it happen. The compile failed on overlap, and so I got a typo in line 92. On overlap end. Alright, where's line 92 at? Line 92 on overlap end, on overlap begin. I think I reduced a few errors right there. Let's just go ahead and recompile and just narrow it down a little bit. 137. 137, I'm missing a semicolon. Right here, 134, missing the semicolon there. Other actor 325. Okay. I think it's just typos. Other actor. Remove that. Get class must point to a class rejection. Oh, let's save it, compile, and narrow it down. Alright, it was successful. Let's go ahead and see if it works. Light switch button. Put it right here. I'm going to move it up a little bit. We don't have the debug helpers on to visualize the sphere, but that's alright. Alright, so we have this right there. Let me push F. I'm pushing F on the outside, nothing's happening. But now let's get a little bit closer. Now I'm kind of inside the sphere, and I push F, and the light turns off. And I'm toggling it. Now we can make it, you know, maybe fade in and out, maybe make it a little bit nicer. But for this tutorial, I think that's a success. So, hey, we did it. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.